He'll be lined up to his right elbow. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. in row 2 to call the start of the Bluegreen Vacations 500 at ISM Raceway from Grand Rapids, Michigan. The Motor Racing Network's Jeff Striegel.
Time to make a championship 4 here at ISM Raceway. All eyes on the flag stand. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway. Kyle Busch on the inside. Joey Logano on the outside through the dogleg, headed to turn number 1 for the first time.
First time, and it'll be Kyle Busch taking the field into turn 1. They're side by side for that second spot. Joey Logano on the outside, on his left elbow, Denny Hamlin.
Kyle Larson thought about making it 3 wide for a moment for that second spot. It's going to be Logano, though, that takes that position away just behind race leader Kyle Busch.
Busch right at the bottom of the racetrack coming up off of turn number 4. He'll lead lap number 1 of 312. Logano second, but here comes Denny Hamlin. He'll try to go as low as he possibly can.
Top 4 are single file formation with Kyle Busch showing the way. Good battle for that 5th position. That's where Chase Elliott just nearly got to the inside of Kyle Larson.
Had a good look to the inside, but tucks back in the line just in front of Kyle Larson. This is the battle for the 5th spot. Second time up the back straightaway. Battle is now for the race lead.
And that is between Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. Kyle's got it. Joey wants it. Lap number 2 goes in the books. Nose to tail, headed out into turn number 1.
Logano making Kyle Busch just a bit uncomfortable, but Busch got a good run off of turn 2 and up the front straightaway. Puts a car length and a half between himself and second spot.
Toyota versus Ford at the front of the field. The Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota of Kyle Busch. The Team Penske Ford of Joey Logano right there in the second spot within a car length.
Well, I tell you what, the sparks have been flying as they exit the front, right here in the front straightaway. As they go past the start-finish line, they're cutting down low, trying to make that track a little shorter, and a lot of them are throwing sparks all over the place right now. And I'll tell you what, guys, that is really bad on the front splitter on those race cars because it grinds it off and it starts altering the handle in the car. Those guys got to stop doing that stuff pretty quick.
And Rusty, kind of expand on that. When that splitter gets ground up or perhaps even bent just a bit, what does that do to the handling of the car specifically?
Yeah, what it does, it lifts downforce off the front of the car, makes the front of the car slide. And a lot of drivers know that. Looks like they've used it for the first 2 laps. Went to the bottom, sparks were flying. You could tell the crew chiefs got on the radio and the spotter said, hey man, knock it off. Now they're back up on the racetrack. I'm actually talking about Kyle Busch and Joey Logano. They quit doing that now, but as you use that splitter and you bottom it out on the racetrack, it grinds it off, makes it higher off the ground, and that doggone front end starts sliding on you, what we call pushing the front end, and that is not good for handling.
While you were talking about that, Dan Hubbard, we had a change inside the top 5.
Chase Elliott got to the inside of Martin Truex Jr. Truex already going to the PJ1, simply has no grip over here in turns 1 and 2.
Elliott's been able to break away from Martin Truex Jr., but has a bit of a gap between himself and the top 3, led by Kyle Busch.
Third place running Denny Hamlin chooses to run a little higher on the racetrack through turns 3 and 4. He gets right up underneath the rear spoiler of the second place car.
Last couple of laps, Hamlin has been reeling in the top 2. Looks briefly to the outside of Joey Logano. Logano hooks the lower line off turn 2.
Such a good run to the exit of turn number 2 for Denny Hamlin, utilizing that outside lane, and will make the pass on Joey Logano for the runner-up spot.
And Joey made it easy for Denny. No reason to put up a fight right now. Only 7 laps in. Now 2 Joe Gibbs Toyotas at the front of the field.
While that brief battle was going on for that second spot, Kyle Busch was able to pull away just a little bit on the front straightaway, about 5 car lengths. Hamlin has already chopped that down to about 3.
Battle for second continues. Logano still within striking distance of Denny Hamlin for that second spot. And as they battle hot and heavy, it's allowing Chase Elliott to close in from 4th.
Guys, the fastest guy on the racetrack right now, Denny Hamlin. He's using the top lane down there in turn 1 and 2. And to me, that's kind of the danger land, but he's getting a lot of momentum right there. He's entering turn 1 high. He's staying up. He's passing cars up there. Went right around the top side of Joey Logano. Looked a little hairy to me, but he pulled it off.
Denny Hamlin trying to get the right side tires in turns 1 and 2 up into that darker part of the pavement. That is where that PJ1 traction compound is, and that is activated, and it gets very tacky and sticky by tire heat. Not necessarily by the heat from the sun beating down, more so by the Goodyear tire heat the more they run on it. So Dan Hubbard, is Denny Hamlin putting those right side tires in it?
He tried it the last 3 laps. This time he hugs it down low, so Hamlin trying to find what gives him the better grip here in turns 1 and 2.
Slowly but surely closing in on his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate Kyle Busch. Call it 2 car lengths between Busch and Hamlin.
And when something works, others will take notice. Chase Elliott, the last couple of laps, have moved up the racetrack. Here's a quick look at the top 10. Now 10 laps complete. Kyle Busch shows the way. Denny Hamlin, though, right there. Joey Logano 3rd. Chase Elliott right now 4th. Martin Truex Jr. is 5th. Kyle Larson 6th. Kurt Busch is 7th. Kevin Harvick 8th. Ryan Blaney 9th. And Eric Jones completes the top 10.
Geico presents, not again, another voicemail from your roommate.
Hey man, so I was in a rush to get to work and I left the back door open. Could you shut it? I left it wide open. While you're there, could you also turn off the oven? And all of the burners. My mom never let me use the oven. I wonder why.
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected, like if it's your roommate's first time operating an oven. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renter's insurance.
'Twas the holiday season, and in your garage, a brand new John Deere. That's not a mirage. With neighbors admiring your shiny new ride, it's your year for a Deere to fill you with pride. So if additional offers are what you desire, see our low rates before they expire. Now start up your engines and drive out of sight. New John Deere equipment for all, and to all a good night. Make it your year for a Deere. See your John Deere dealer today to discover more amazing deals and attractive financing offers.
13 laps are complete. Right now it is Kyle Busch by 5 car lengths over his teammate Denny Hamlin, then Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. That's your top 5 from ISM Raceway. This is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Jake was in big trouble with the IRS. He owed how much?
$92,000.
Ouch. The IRS left no room for Jake to breathe.
They put a lien on my house, took all the money out of my bank account, took money out of my paychecks. So it was a nightmare.
He needed help fast.
I figured that all these companies were the same until I called Federal Tax Management. You could just tell they knew what they were talking about. Right then and there, I felt like I had some hope.
Stop the liens, levies, and garnishments fast and qualify for one of several special IRS programs that could reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. So, how'd it go for Jake?
They did what they said they would do. They came through for me. I ended up saving an unbelievable amount. I was so jazzed. I was extremely happy.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, take Jake's advice.
Give Federal Tax Management a phone call. If they help me, they can help anybody.
Call the Federal Tax Management Hotline now. 800-242-1706. 800-242-1706. 800-242-1706.
The goal for today is simple. Don't get eliminated. Easier said than done for 4 drivers that came in today below the cut line, but we've got a long way to go. And one quick focus, if you will, Alex Hayden happens to be on the driver running in the 4th position, Chase Elliott. He is one of those drivers that has a very simple goal in mind. Get up front, lead every lap, win, or forget it and focus on next year.
With the 8 playoff drivers, Jeff, they're all inside the top 9. So 8 of the top 9 are playoff drivers. That's going to make it nearly impossible to gain points, even with stage points up for grabs today. So if that trend continues to be what it is here in the early laps, yeah, Chase Elliott, no doubt, he's a must-win anyway. But that's going to force other drivers on the outside, like Blaney, Larson, and potentially Hamlin, to have to do the same thing. If they're all going to run inside the top 9 or 10, you're not going to gain 20 points.
Those 4 drivers you're talking about below the cut line can go nowhere unless they win, or unless Joey Logano or Kyle Busch has a problem. Basically, it is that simple. And right now, Kyle is leading the race, and Joey is running 3rd. They're doing, Rusty Wallace, exactly what they need to do now early. They need to do it in the middle of the race, and obviously they need to close it out that way. Run up front. They don't have to win. They just need to run up front and keep the fenders on the race car.
Yeah, you're exactly right when it comes to that. And I'm looking at the lap times right now. That's one key thing that I'm looking at to see how these guys are performing. So when we look from our booth outside right now, it looks to me like Kyle Busch, it looks like Denny Hamlin, looks like Joey Logano are all running the same speed. Now, Chase Elliott, here's a driver we talked about this morning in one of our big meetings. And a lot of people thought that maybe he was really concerned about his car. Like he thought that maybe Chase himself thought his car was not up to speed. But right now, Chase's car looks actually really good to me right now compared to what I've been hearing from that camp. I mean, I'm looking at the lap times. Last time by, he ran a 27.19 second lap. Kyle Busch ran a 27.05. So he's off a little bit, but not that bad. He's still in pretty good condition.
only 21 laps in. He's 3.3 seconds behind the race leader, Kyle Busch. But again, 21 laps. We're just in the infancy of today's Bluegreen Vacations 500. It can be debated, Jeff, that each color M&M tastes differently. What can't be debated is this yellow M&M's Toyota is a rocket ship here early on.
Well, he is coming to ISM Raceway on a 2-race win streak here, but he is trying to end a 20-race winless streak that dates back to the middle of the summer. And wouldn't it be spectacular if you were Kyle Busch or a Kyle Busch fan if you could win here today and take that momentum right straight into the championship?
He hasn't been to victory lane in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series since June 2nd. He's a victim of his own success, in my opinion, because we're so used to talking about Kyle Busch winning race. Maybe one out of every, 3 or 4 races, Kyle Busch has been trending to win that way. But with this big of a drought, coming back to a racetrack, Rusty, that he's had so much success, when he won this race in March, he led 177 laps. When he won here in this race 1 year ago, he led 117 laps. Already he's led the opening 23 laps.
So he's got